All right, so we're past the Avenger stuff. Now we get into phase two, and things here got interesting, especially with the first one, Iron Man 3, with the trailer. It's pretty awesome. The movie was actually good, but the first time I watched it, I remember being like that feeling that I don't know. Something like I don't know. And then I watched it again. I liked it more, and I still liked it. It was never like the best, but it was still great. But something about it was like, it's off. And as we all know, that whole Mandarin interest, and even that I actually didn't mind as much as like that slower part in the middle when he doesn't have really has a suit and all. Ooh, we'll discuss more. Let's get right into the trailer.
I'm Tony Stark. I build neat stuff. I got a great girl. And occasionally, save the world. So why can't I sleep?
Hey, he was definitely dealing with a lot of stuff here.
You elected me on a single platform. I will defend this country at all costs. The Mandarin must be stopped.
You don't know who I am. You'll never see me coming.
There's such a callback in Shang-Chi.
What are you going to do about these attacks?
When they call back to like all the fake
world's
stuff that
gonna watch
happens, you know?
Question, where is Tony Stark?
Things are different now. I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you.
Mr. Stark. Today is the first day
Ben Kingsley was so good
what's
in this one.
left of your life. I'm gonna offer the choice. Do you want an empty life or a meaningful death?
You're not a man. You're nothing more than a maniac. I'm not afraid of you. No politics here. Just good old-fashioned revenge. We do need backup.
That's your department.
Woo! This scene. Got the whole brigade in this one.
Here's my boys.
Well, there you have it. All in all, you know what? Thinking back to it, it was a good film. It had some like off things about it, but if you think about it, it was great for what they were trying to do with the character of Tony Stark, where he was and all. It's just like, I think at that point though, the way we're going to start with the end, the way it all ended, I don't think they were like, oh, he's coming back, so let's end it. I really don't think, like, I think that's what they were kind of going for, or it was like all a trick because Ultron came in and it was like, oh yeah, he's back, you know? So I think Ultron was filmed a bit after this one, after they finished it. So while this was happening, there was this whole thing that, oh, he's only signed again for one film. At least I remember that when he was like, oh, his contract's over and he's done and this is the only film he's going to do and da-da-da. This was his whole thing, and I think there was something going on behind the scenes. So I think the movie was done kind of, so they had to just go with it. But that whole scene at the end where the suits and everything and he's just finishing them off and he's going to go on, he's going to throw his last, whatever that piece was. I think it was like the watch or something, or his thing that he just throws in the water there at the end. Where it's like, yep, I'm done with Iron Man and live my happy life. That whole scene, it was like, oh, okay, it's the ending, and then like literally, like you go to Ultron, it's like, oh yeah, he's right back. All the things that he said and everything, he's done with himself and he wants to move on, and that whole aspect of that story was kind of just nullified. So that is one thing that annoys me more than like the whole like his interaction with child and everything. Because I think that was like, you look back to it and it was wholesome. He never kind of had that with his own dad. So now you look back to it and you kind of connect it to what, his interaction with the Endgame. You're like, oh wow, like him interacting with that kid, it was like, yeah, like it worked, like at that point, oh, we didn't see it that way maybe, but now you look back to it, you're like, oh, as a whole Infinity Saga, you're like, yep, that works. And the whole Mandarin thing, you're like, yeah, like they have actors as they put them on TV and you're like, oh, these are the bad guys and the bad guys are really someone else. So that aspect of it actually works too. It's more like the whole like aspect of himself where it was great as the movie, but once you moved on from there and you watch all the other movies, it's like they focus on that too much, but they kind of also like just nullified everything right away, and they're like, oh yeah, he's back in Ultron. No worries. No, they didn't even touch upon that in Ultron, because Ultron started and it had its own like director cuts and all those problems that we know about. So there's just this disconnect in the middle. But as a film, though, in its own way, its own story, it was a great story. It worked, but yeah, it was also like something was off about it, and that's what's off now. Now when you look at his whole Infinity Saga, it's like it just never fit in properly as in with the other movies. It's like it's its own thing. It was its own story, and I think it was meant to be the ending of Iron Man as Tony Stark, and somebody else probably was supposed to take over, but then it just everything kind of changed all of a sudden, and the movie was done, so they just had to go with it. But I still wish they should have done maybe some reshoots or something that would kind of cancel that ending out and maybe added something else now that you look at it, because yeah, it just feels disjointed. But other than that, you still enjoy that movie. It still is a good time, especially with how the MCU kind of evolved after Endgame. So it was still a good time. Still go back and watch all of these. So that's kind of my take on this one. What do you remember from this? From Iron Man 3. Leave a comment below and let me know. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. I'll see you all soon. Ta-da. Ike out.